Okay, so these are gonna be, or this is gonna be, my thoughts on Christian Lit from what I've read. And I'm gonna reference the 3 books I've read from it. I don't think there were any other books that I've read, because I try to kind of avoid it because it seems like, there's just stereotype characters throughout, kind of a thing. So the first book I read was a book called Leave It to Claire. And I know it was the first book in a trilogy, but because I didn't like the first book, I wasn't about to read the other two. So it's about this woman. She's now a single mom of 4, and her husband had cheated on her, and that's why they had divorced, and she's basically just so really hung up on this. Like, really hung up on it. I don't think she had much else to her character but that, and it was just kind of like, okay. And I think this has been years since I've read it, but I think it was some kind of, I don't think it was a work from home job. I think she was like a writer or something. She was like typed on her computer a lot, and it was like they emphasized how, oh, all they ever have is pizza now because she doesn't cook anymore, and the kids are always fighting and whatever, kind of a thing. And I'm like, okay. And throughout the entire story, the ex had recently remarried, and this was like a younger woman, which already irked her over the fact that, oh, he's married to someone younger than me. Like, okay. And then basically, this isn't the woman that he ever cheated with. This was someone new, totally different, did not, spite Claire or whatever. And like, the book does this weird thing of, she has all these dreams about like his wife being the villain or whatever for some reason. And in all these dreams, which I guess are nightmare sequences to her, end up that she ends up being pregnant, and he gets the other woman pregnant, and it's this whole thing. And she's just so upset about this, and I'm like, okay. And then eventually, the new wife does end up getting pregnant. And instead, like, of being a normal person, Claire's just, like, pissed. And I'm like, okay. And, like, they did this weird thing where I guess they were trying to make Claire seem funny. And basically, they're leading up to, like, the wife finding out she's pregnant. There's, like, these symptoms that come up that Claire realizes what they are, and the young wife doesn't know. And, like, for some reason, they made her talk like a pirate, and I'm like, okay. That was, like, her shtick, and I'm like, whatever. She would do this thing where it would be like, methinks, whatever the rest of this, like, what she was trying to relate to or whatever. And then, like, trying to say ye and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. And then, like, it gets to be, like, the end of the book. And, like, I will say, like, she does get closer to her kids or whatever and starts being more present or whatever. But then once it sinks in for her that the new wife is pregnant, oh my god, she's just... I forget how it went down, but she threw like a full-on temper tantrum over it and like accused her of being the other woman when she knows that she isn't. Like, this new wife was nothing but kind to her. And I'm just like, why are you like this? And then, like, there's this gesture at the end that she tries to do to, like, make up for it. It was like, I think it was like a bassinet from, like, her own children that she gave them. And then, like, the story ends, and I'm just like, we have 2 more books of this, really? I mean, I know I've kind of looked at the synopsis. Is that how you say that? I don't know. Synopses of the other 2 books in the trilogy, and it's all about her wanting to find love herself and her having her own husband and whatever. And I'm just like, I mean, I kind of hope that in the other books she ended up being not a paranoid nut job. I don't know. So yeah, I did not end up reading the other 2. Like, it did end up being Christian lit by the fact that it was, they're like involved in their church kind of a thing, but other than that, I don't remember it being too much more than that. And then another book I had read was called The Abstinence Teacher. Oh my god. I can't remember if that's actually satire or not. Because it almost set itself up like it was a satire. And there's basically a sex ed curriculum that ends up in this high school. And he is this born-again Christian, and he wants everyone to stay abstinence for God and everything. And then there's just this one mom that's just, like, I feel like it was like a Christian lit trope of, I'm gonna be this hardcore atheist. And it's like this whole thing. Kind of like, that was her only trait, was that she was an atheist. Oh, it was so... And, like, it was just, like, it kind of made me think of, like, the characters in certain Christian books where it's, like, we have to over-exaggerate how much of a horrible person she is. And I'm like, okay. And he is, like, I think he's a soccer coach for her daughters, or one daughter who's in high school. And, like, she gets super pissed because, which I kind of get, because separation of church and state, because I think it's just a regular school, like public school. And they have, I don't think it was a private school, but I might be wrong. I kind of forgot, even though pretty sure I read it last year. But I did not rate it very high. Excuse me. He ends up doing, like, a group prayer before the game starts, and she just, like, loses her damn mind about it. And, like, that's it. That's her character. She's just pissed. And I'm like, do you do anything for fun? And, like, that's just, like, the whole book. Is that she's, like, pitching a hissy fit over a random prayer thing. And, like, he eventually kind of talks to her about it. He's like, well, why does this bother you so much? Because, like, no one else cares. And she's like, I'm an atheist. Don't you get that? I don't believe in God. Okay. Like, that's all the character was. And I was just like, okay. So, I feel like that was a really exaggerated example of, like, how they tend to feel like non-believers are. Which, like, yeah, some people are like that, but, like, it seemed very exaggerated. And, the third book I read was, I think it was called Madly, Truly, Deeply. It was by Karen Kingsbury, and I didn't know that she's, like, this well-known Christian lit author, because I normally kind of learned my lesson to not pick that kind of stuff up after the stuff I've read before, because, like, it just gives you this negative connotation and turns you off from it, which is kind of sad, because you would think you would want people reading it, but I don't know, maybe it's just people like me that get turned off from it. But, in this book, it was a lot more just, yes, it was, like, Christianity was part of it, but no one was, like, trying to convert someone. No one was judgy about it. No one, well, in a flashback, technically, the one guy that died had, like, encouraged people to pray right before they all got killed. And, I won't say too, well, basically, the man that gets killed is the father of the main character's mother. He ends up dying in one of the towers in 9/11. And they're, like, above where the plane had crashed, so they all knew that they were gonna not make it. So he encourages them all to pray so that they all go to heaven, and that's about all it really is for, like, encouraging others. And, like, the other characters just kind of, like, they're chill about it. They don't, I mean, I don't think there was really an atheist character, but they didn't act like, oh my god, if you don't believe in God, oh god, you're just this horrible person. Like, it wasn't like that. It was actually just a novel that happened to be religious people in it, and there was actual stuff that they were into outside of Christianity. Because it seemed like in the other books, that's all it was like, that's it. That's her character. Where in this book, it was more, they had actual substance. It wasn't just silly little stereotypes. And I actually ended up really liking that book, which maybe, in terms of Christian Lit, if I were to read it again, maybe I would just read one of hers, because anything else I've read kind of just, unfortunately, turned me off.